Hello, welcome to Jessie at Home. In this video I am going to show you a wet felt join, which is a great way to join yarn join any feltable yarn. So what I have here is the Plymouth Yarn Baby Alpaca DK. It's 100% baby alpaca. This is a feltable yarn. Alright, and it doesn't have to be a yarn that like you would necessarily use to make something that's felted. Really, as long as it has some sort of wool, most wools, wool, alpaca, whatever, all of those things that kind of fall into that wool family, most of them will felt. So what I have these two different colors that I want to join together. You can do this to join two colors. It'll be a little more obvious. You can also do it just to join the new ball of yarn, or if there was a knot in your yarn. I know we hate it when it happens, but it happens. You can use it to kind of splice them back together again. And what you want to do is you want to fringe like an inch or two of your yarn on both colors. Okay, fringe out like an inch or two. Kind of have to make a call based on the weight of the yarn, the way the yarn works, all of that sort of stuff. If you're doing a super bulky yarn, one of the things that I will do is I'll fringe like 4 inches of each, but then I'll cut the fringe at an angle. So let's say this was a super bulky yarn. Let me show you on the gray because you can probably see that a little better. Let's say this was super bulky yarn. I might have made these fringes about 4 inches long, and I would cut them like here, here, and here so that it was angled, and I would do the same thing over here, and that'll kind of help me help with getting everything gently eased into each other without a huge section where both of the yarns are really bulky. So now what you do is you want to kind of join them together. You're going to overlap a little bit of the fringed areas. Okay, see how I've overlapped some of the fringe areas but not all of it, and then you can kind of wrap them around each other. This yarn happens to fringe into 4-ply. Some yarns just fringe into fuzz, like if you're using a roving kind of yarn, it just kind of fringes into fuzz, and they kind of wrap around each other a little nicer. Now this is called a wet felted join. So what you need now is water. Alright, some people will use spit, some people will use a warm glass of water, but you need water of some sort on this. So you can just kind of dip your fingers in some water and then rub it on, or dunk it into a little cup of water, but you need it to be wet. So now that we have that, I love to use my jeans for this. Jeans make great friction. You can rub this between your hands. Like I said, I really like to use my jeans or some sort of fabric that's held tight. In this case, my table is covered with muslin, so that kind of works perfectly. Because now what you're going to do is you're going to rub really quickly over top of this, which will create friction, and heat mixed with that water is going to make this felt together. So it gets kind of warm. If you have a really long join, you might need to move back and forth, but this is now joined together. Okay, it is not the strongest point in the yarn, that's for sure, but it is joined together, and once I start knitting or crocheting with this, it's going to stay together. Now if that's a color change, obviously it kind of makes a nice little change into the color as opposed to an abrupt change into the color, but if you needed an abrupt change, this might not necessarily be the join for you. This is my favorite join when I'm joining the same color yarn but just a new ball, or fixing a hole, or fixing a knot, or something like that. But it certainly does work for changing color if you're just doing little color changes where the actual change happens doesn't matter, because it's really hard to get this exactly where you want it. Okay, if you're trying to get the exact color change between two certain stitches, this is probably not going to work. But I love this when this join is appropriate in my work, such as joining the same color with two different balls. It is my favorite join to do if it works with the yarn that I'm using. So there you have these two balls of yarn have been joined. you know, I mean, I wouldn't give it as hard of a tug as I'd give the rest of the yarn, but I am giving it a tug. All right, it is going to stay. So, wet felt join, there you go. Thank you.